Great to see you.
Why do you say overreaction?
Well, yesterday really was an indiscriminate selling day. Did Tesla's valuation and fundamentals drop 15%? Did the broad market have a 4% decline in valuations? To us, it really looked like a lot of liquidation. I think investors are, of course, reacting to the White House warning of pain ahead, but it has been more of an equity sell-off than it has been in corporate bonds. So to us, 4% down days, yeah, I think it's an overreaction.
Yeah, how do you best explain that difference between what equities have done and what we've seen in IG and even high yield?
Well, I think on the stock side, markets are now saying, look, the new regime is we have to take the tariffs seriously. Now we don't know how long these tariffs might be. Will it hurt growth? And we've seen cuts from economists. But the bond market is saying, well, you know what? This is a growth scare. But the Fed is also now in a position to begin cutting because inflation pressures are abating. So I think the bond market is sort of pricing in a Fed put. The stock market saying, I'm not sure if there's a White House put, and then the Fed's on hold, and I think that's the divergence.
So which one should we be listening to?
Well, I think the Fed put, in fact, is probably coming back because the odds of a May cut have been inching up. They hit 54% yesterday. And, in fact, total cuts hit 3.5 cuts, which is now 2.5 or 1.5 more than the Fed's guided. But I think that the Trump put exists. I mean, I know they've explicitly said there isn't one, but look at yesterday. Tesla's down 15%, and on Truth Social, Donald Trump talks about Tesla. So I think a put exists. We just don't know the level when the White House intervenes, and then today's the Business Roundtable. We'll find out.
He does, but then he kind of ratchets up the dialogue as it pertains to the trade war this morning on Truth Social, regardless of all of the headlines surrounding tariffs and the trade war and what it means for growth and what it means for the market reaction.
That's right. And for a while, markets ignored those tariff headlines, and now they're taking it very seriously. But I think at the end of the day, if we take every headline at face value, then markets are completely paralyzed. And of course, that again creates opportunity because at some level, all these stocks are really attractive opportunities, especially something that's had a 50% drawdown.
I mean, you can talk about the NASDAQ being an overreaction at a 4% down day, but Tesla was up $500 billion in 2 months at the end of last year. I mean, was that an overreaction to the upside? This is what we're trying to figure out, right?
Yeah.
Where do we start out with in terms of valuation and investor expectations coming into this period when it's become a little bit more noisy?
Yeah. Well, there used to be this term a while ago called rage selling, and I think these days with instant liquidity, markets have rage selling. And I think it's not just individual. I think institutions push a button and go flat. So I think that, we're getting whipsawed these days. And I don't know where to titrate that. Like, was Tesla worth double what it was compared to November, and now is it worth half? I'm not sure, but I think it's somewhere in between.
Meantime, there's still a lot of desk notes about CTA supply and the next 5 days. There's plenty to sell. Are you buyer that even if we bounce today, it's going to be more of a process?
Well, I think positioning does tell us we're stretched to the downside, and we know markets are oversold, and we know sentiment's bad. I guess the real tell is we need to have follow through because last week felt like we could be bottoming, and we failed Monday. But do I think that a 10% correction shouldn't happen? I mean, this is like the 6th correction of 8% or more since 2022, so it is pretty garden variety. But, getting down more than 10% to me is like we've got proof of a recession. And I think that that's why the data points next few weeks are going to matter.
Yeah. So if we do draw down 10, you'll want to talk again.
Yes.
Okay.
Don't